Everything you said makes perfect sense, and I hear it completely. But one thing that stuck out to me is it reminded me of, I saw this video today where they talked about when Steven Spielberg put out the movie Jaws. And if you remember, Jaws is a movie where people would go to the beach and they were being eaten by this killer shark. Well, after the movie Jaws was made, they said the beach attendance dropped by like 50%. People were scared to death to go to the beach. They did not go. And they said, but the facts were that only about 5 people on the entire earth get killed by a shark every year. 500 people get killed by hippopotamuses. Thousands of people get killed from things like cheeseburgers and all kinds of stuff. If you add up the number of people that get killed by greasy, fatty food and you compare it to the number of people that get killed by sharks, it's not even close. Now, what that made me think about is, if you looked at the data, I went and looked at the data on how many black men get killed by police. And I'm not saying George Floyd deserved what he got, because he didn't. We all saw it. It was terrible. But what was interesting was when you look at the statistics of the numbers of black men killed by the police versus, say, the numbers of black men that are shot in the hood or at the club, or like my best friend Greg Wilkins shot in the head in front of his daughter by some drug dealers who look just like him, there's just no comparison. Now, I'm not saying police killings are appropriate or that they do not happen. I want to make that clear. But I can also say I wasn't as afraid of cops because I knew a lot of cops. I knew bad cops, I knew good cops, I knew black cops, I knew white cops. And when I thought about the things that scared me, about the things that might kill me as a young black man, it was never really so much the police. It was really just other guys that looked like me. You know, you dating somebody's baby's mama, or somebody who just got out of jail who's trying to come get you because he don't like you or whatever. And so what I think happens sometimes is that we get heavily manipulated by white liberals and white conservatives all the time. We get manipulated, and the same month George Floyd got killed, there were hundreds of people being killed that were black all across the country. Chicago alone, we had a couple hundred shootings in the time that everybody was talking about this one thing. So you got to ask yourself this question. If a little girl gets shot in the south side of Chicago on her tricycle and nobody cares, but yet everybody's crying about this thing they're seeing on TV on repeat, what role is the media playing in really trying to trigger traumatized black people and scare us to death? Not because they care. If Black Lives really matter, then you know things you can do to really show Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of things they could do. But really, I kind of felt like they were just doing it because they wanted us to vote for them. I think it was a political manipulation. And in fact, actually, what's interesting to me, Etan, is that when we talk about the Trump situation, I ain't never going to defend Trump. I followed that guy for 35 years. I never thought he was a good man. And we throw in the racial angle, and we say, okay, they're doing this to immigrants. A lot of the immigrants are black and brown, 100% true. I don't see a lot of white Europeans being shipped away. But if you talk about the lady that got shot in the face, what race was she? Was she black too? I can't remember. The man that got killed, was he black? No, he wasn't. So I'm not saying that it shouldn't have happened and we shouldn't have empathy, but I think sometimes the thing that we think is a racial divide is actually a liberal conservative divide. What I have seen, because half my family's conservative, half my family's liberal, is that a guy like a Trump and the MAGA types, they will embrace a black conservative faster than they will embrace a white liberal. I've just seen that. I've seen black conservatives who can walk up to the president, give him a hug, and all these other things, and then of course everybody jumps up and says, "You old coon, you Uncle Tom," whatever. And I've never liked that, because you're taking away this man's right to be who he wants to be. Every black person isn't connected to all the liberal ideas. What happens with the liberal package is they say, we care about black people because they're oppressed, but we also want to bring in this LGBT issue. We want to bring in this transgender issue. Oh, by the way, we want your pastor to preach to you that abortion is a pretty good thing. And even though everything, my mother used to say, well, it seems like a lot of the stuff you're telling me to believe is against the Bible that I read every day, and that didn't feel good for her, right?